The fourth plenary session of the Chinese Communist Party has concluded, and there was no sign of the rumored departure of Xi Jinping. However, the high absentee rate at the meeting and the fact that 9 generals personally promoted by Xi were removed indicate that the situation within the CCP is extremely unstable. There seems to be a fierce power struggle within the party, with reports suggesting that Xi Jinping has no one left to rely on. Let's take a look at the scene during the closing ceremony of the fourth plenary session. According to CCTV footage, several empty seats were seen at the closing ceremony, which is highly unusual. In the middle 3 rows, there were even teacups placed on some tables. The attendance rate was notably low, with nearly 1/6 of the expected attendees absent. This is one of the highest absentee rates in history. Originally, there were 205 full members and 171 alternate members, making a total of 376 members. However, only 315 attended, with 61 absent. Of the full members, 18% were absent, and 14% of the alternate members didn't show up. Neil Thomas, a researcher at the Asia Society Policy Institute, pointed out that this was the lowest attendance rate since China's reform and opening up began in 1978. Among the 205 full members, only 168 attended, while 37 were absent. This included 10 civilian officials and 27 from the military system. In other words, the absence of military members accounted for 2/3 of the total absences. This situation is extremely rare in CCP history, almost equivalent to the military system being half paralyzed. Political analyst Chen Po-kong, who's based in the US, noted that the session was in a semi-paralyzed state with severe personnel vacancies, which indicates a fractured power structure. Furthermore, strangely, the closing ceremony was suddenly moved from the Jingxi Hotel to the Great Hall of the People. The full list of absent Central Committee members is still unclear. However, according to Hong Kong's Singtao Daily, 3 members whose whereabouts are unknown did not attend the session. Liu Jianchao, former head of the CCP's International Liaison Department, Jin Zhuanglong, former Minister of Industry and Information Technology, and Lei Fanping, former Executive Deputy Director of the Central Military Civilian Integration Office. Liu Jianchao's position has been replaced by Liu Haixing, while Jin Zhuanglong's role has been taken over by Li Lecheng. As for Lei Fanping, who has been missing, the official government has yet to announce his dismissal. In July of this year, Ma Xingrui, the political bureau member who was removed from his post as Xinjiang Party secretary, was officially stated to be assigned to other duties, but his current whereabouts are unknown. Former military office director Zhong Xiaojun, who was reassigned to be the political commissar of the National Defense University, is also rumored to have been dismissed. However, from CCTV's coverage of the session, it appears Ma Xingrui attended, and Zhong Xiaojun may have also appeared in the footage. According to previous reports, at least 9 Central Committee members have been investigated, but no official announcements have been made. These include Wang Haijiang, commander of the Western Theater Command. He's been missing for a long time and is rumored to be under investigation. Wang Renhua, secretary of the Political and Legal Committee of the Central Military Commission. Zhang Hongbing, political commissar of the Armed Police. Hu Zhongming, who was dismissed as military commander in June, and Wang Kai, commander of the Tibet military region, who missed Xi Jinping's meeting with troops stationed in Lhasa in August. Li Qiaoming, commander of the army, who was missing from the August 1st reception. Li Wei, political commissar of the Information Support Forces. Wang Qiang, commander of the Central Theater Command. And Xu Deiqing, political commissar of the Central Theater Command. After being dismissed, the whereabouts of some Central Alternate Committee members remain unknown, including Yuan Jie, chairman of China Aerospace Science and Industry Corporation, and Wen Gong, chairman of China Shipbuilding Group. The absence of these officials could be due to illness or business trips, but it also highlights that the CCP's leadership is undergoing a new round of anti-corruption purges. Chen Cheng, a political science professor at the State University of New York at Albany, analyzed that the vacancies suggest that after multiple rounds of anti-corruption campaigns by Xi Jinping, there are fewer and fewer available officials within the system. The excessive concentration of power has made it difficult for the party to find a reliable and qualified succession team. Neil Thomas, researcher at Asia Society, believes that the speed of this purge is even faster than previous periods, with Xi Jinping no longer hesitating to remove officials he personally promoted. This wave of dismissals began the weekend before the fourth plenary session. On October 17th, the Chinese Ministry of Defense announced that 9 Chinese military generals were expelled from the party and the military for disciplinary corruption. Among them were 2 members of the Central Military Commission, He Weidong, vice chairman of the Military Commission and political bureau member, and Miao Hua, director of the political work department of the Military Commission. The others include He Hongjun, former executive deputy director of the Military Commission's political work department, Wang Xiaobin, former executive deputy director of the Military Commission's Joint Operations Command Center, Lin Xiangyang, former commander of the Eastern Theater Command, Qin Shutong, former political commissar of the Army, Yuan Huaji, former political commissar of the Navy, Wang Hubin, former commander of the Rocket Force, Wang Chunling, former commander of the Armed Police. Commentator Wang Youchun wrote that the most embarrassing part of He Weidong's downfall is not He himself, but Xi Jinping. After the 20th National Congress, He Weidong was called Xi's top confidant in the military, and Miao Hua was referred to as Xi's second confidant. Both He and Miao were Xi's left and right arms in the military. Miao Hua was carefully selected by Xi as the director of the Military Commission's political work department after the investigation into Zhang Yang, the previous director who was involved in corruption cases. Now, Xi's 2 most trusted allies in the military have fallen. He Hongjun played a crucial role in Xi's military strategy. On July 9, 2024, just before the 20th Central Committee's 3rd plenary session, Xi held a special ceremony to confer the rank of general on He Hongjun, clearly positioning him as executive deputy director of the Military Commission's political work department. He Hongjun was also a member of the 20th Central Committee chosen personally by Xi. With the fall of these key figures responsible for Xi's political military building, how will his military strategy continue? Where will Xi Jinping's leadership position be placed? Wang Xiaobin was also considered an elite military figure handpicked by Xi Jinping. Lin Xiangyang was one of the younger generation military figures Xi valued greatly. The Eastern Theater Command is the most critical force for Xi's plan to unify Taiwan. Xi had originally hoped that Lin Xiangyang would play a significant role in the process, but before Xi could even initiate the military campaign, Lin fell from grace. This must have left Xi feeling a deep sense of loss. The fall of Wang Hobin, commander of the Rocket Force, has been an even greater blow to Xi. The Rocket Force is Xi's most powerful military arm and plays a crucial role in his strategy to challenge the U.S. and take action against Taiwan. Xi Jinping's selection of Rocket Force commanders has been one mistake after another, each more significant than the last. The Rocket Force has been established for 10 years, and all 4 of its commanders have fallen. The first mistake can be forgiven, the second can be understood, but the third is a serious error. The fourth is unthinkable. As for Wang Chunling, the commander of the armed police, whom Xi personally promoted, he has also become a figure of severe corruption. The fall of the 9 generals personally selected and promoted by Xi marks the collapse of the Xi myth built by his supporters over the past 13 years. This latest purge of 9 generals, along with the many others previously investigated, highlights that these are all officials Xi himself personally promoted. This has led to speculation that Xi Jinping has lost control over the military and may even be losing some of his supreme power at the 4th plenary session. Su Ziyun, director of the Strategic and Resource Institute in Taiwan, stated that the fall of these 9 generals could be seen as Xi Jinping's heartbreaking decision to remove them, showing his failure to judge people. If this was not Xi's own decision to bring them down, then it suggests Xi was forced to act. Analyzing the situation from various angles, while Xi may still appear to be the top leader, his real influence may have weakened. Su Ziyun also mentioned that the current situation in the CCP is the most bizarre in its history. Many events that never happened before are now unfolding. In general, Xi's control over the military, economy, power structures, and media might be weakening, but it cannot be said that he has completely lost his power. His political direction and leadership authority are likely to diminish. Song Guocheng, a researcher at Taiwan's National Chengchi University, analyzed that Xi Jinping is trapped between a rock and a hard place. His health is in poor condition, but no one dares to take over the mess he created. The investigation into 9 generals, 8 of whom were Central Committee members, reflects a hidden coup, with a loyalty crisis erupting in the military. In the announcement of the 9 generals' investigation were the phrases, "loss of loyalty," and "severely undermining the principle of party leadership over the military." Mingzhu Cheng, professor emeritus at Taiwan University's Department of Political Science, said that the use of such phrases is one of the most severe denunciations in the CCP's political lexicon. It implies that these generals may have been involved in a rebellion, a coup, or at least fundamental disagreements with top leadership. It's worth noting that both He Weidong and Miao Hua, who were investigated, were members of the Minjiang New Army. They were quickly promoted and then swiftly brought down, setting a record for the shortest tenure as political bureau members and military commission vice chairman. The real aim of this purge is to shake the proverbial mountain to frighten the tiger. Professor Ming said that the high-level removal of the 9 generals before the 4th plenary session was meant to send a strong warning to the entire party, especially the military leadership. Total obedience is required. These generals were all personally promoted by Xi, yet he made mistakes with 9 of them. With approximately 40 generals in the CCP military, the loss of 9 generals plus those previously removed totals 15, with over 40% of these generals being involved in serious corruption. It raises the question, what can the military even do? Following the October 17th announcement, the CCP also announced the expulsion of 10 Central Committee members and 4 alternate members, setting a record for the largest number of expulsions in history. In the case of the Central Committee, the 205 Central Committee members are the highest-ranking members of the CCP. They're responsible for making major personnel decisions and policy decisions at the Central Committee sessions. This time, 11 Central Committee members were replaced, with 8 of them from the military. The Central Military Commission now only has Xi Jinping and 3 other members. It was originally expected that 7 new members would be appointed this session, but unexpectedly, Zhang Shengming, a former member, was promoted to vice chairman, while Defense Minister Dong Jun and others maintained their original positions. Zhang Shengming, aged 67, hails from Wugong, Shanxi Province. He is a rocket force general and is known as the current discipline czar in the military. He comes from the 2nd Artillery Corps, a political officer who once served as the director of the Political Work Department at the General Political Department of the PLA. He held roles such as the political commissar of the 2nd Artillery Command Academy and the director of the Political Department of the 2nd Artillery Corps. In 2015, Zhang returned to Beijing to serve as the first political commissar of the Central Military Commission's Training Management Department. He later became the political commissar of the Logistics Support Department. In 2017, he was appointed secretary of the Central Military Commission's Discipline Inspection Commission and vice secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. He was also a member of the 19th and 20th Central Military Commission. At the 4th plenary session, Zhang Shengming's promotion from a military committee member to a vice chairman became a focal point, but he did not enter the political bureau as is customary. Defense Minister Dong Jun might enter the military commission, but there were no clear signals this time. Political commentator Zhang Tianliang said that Xi Jinping's military purge relies on the Military Discipline Commission, and Zhang Shengming, as someone who comes from this background, serves as Xi's knife. He has done many dirty jobs for Xi and achieved significant merit, which is why Xi promoted him to vice chairman of the Military Commission. According to custom, the vice chairman of the Military Commission usually also serves as a member of the Central Political Bureau, but Zhang Shengming did not enter. This suggests that Xi does not fully trust such an enforcer, someone who has done many dirty jobs. People who do such work often form small cliques and seek to gain favor, which could undermine Xi's rule. This indicates that Xi does not fully trust Zhang Shengming. Professor Xiaoming from the City University of New York pointed out that this reflects a significant division within the CCP. Xi Jinping's use of people, but lack of trust in them, shows that he has run out of reliable personnel. Zhang Shengming, too, is also seen as old and lacking in the necessary vigor. Xi Jinping's lack of usable personnel is further reflected in the vacancies in high-level positions that have yet to be filled. For instance, the position of the Military Commission's vice chairman, held by Miao Hua, and many other posts within the Central Military Commission have not been filled. Only Zhang Shengming was promoted. The Political Bureau and the Central Committee also have vacancies, with nearly 20% of positions left unfilled. U.S.-based political analyst Chen Po-kong said that this is a rare and abnormal phenomenon, unheard of since the reform and opening up period. Although Xi Jinping has kept his 3 key positions, in reality he has lost decision-making power, especially in personnel decisions. He is starting his 3rd term in a severely weakened state. Professor Chen Cheng, a political science professor at the State University of New York at Albany, pointed out that there are no clear signs of who will fill the vacancies left by these generals, which is becoming a hidden concern. To build the world-class military Xi envisioned, top-tier generals are required. At present, it seems that Xi is struggling to decide who should lead the military and who can be trusted. Commentator Cheng Jing believes that the lack of new members in the Central Military Commission and the unfilled vice chairman position shows the extreme haste and chaos in Xi's decision-making process. In the CCP system, the appointment of the vice chairman of the Military Commission must be approved by the Central Political Bureau and the Standing Committee, a system designed to balance civilian control over the military. However, the fact that military personnel decisions have not been finalized suggests serious confrontation between the Political Bureau and the military. Commentator Zhong Yuan wrote that although Xi Jinping managed to retain his title at the fourth plenary session and appeared to have overcome a significant hurdle, his faction has suffered major blows and has not fully recovered. The key positions that were lost have not been filled, and the struggle at the fourth plenary session may have ended in a stalemate, with the deadlock difficult to break. For Xi Jinping, the situation is not only that there's no one he can rely on, but also that there is no one to succeed him. In other words, he has no trusted individuals to handle affairs and is too afraid to designate a successor for the future. An analysis published by the New York Times on October 21st pointed out that Xi Jinping is now facing a dilemma that all long-term autocrats must eventually encounter. Once a successor is designated, a new center of power may emerge, weakening his control. However, if he fails to choose a successor, it could sow divisions within the party and even threaten his political legacy. At 72 years old, Xi Jinping has been in power for nearly 13 years, and there have been no arrangements regarding secession. This prolonged power vacuum has made the secession issue one of the most sensitive taboos in Beijing's political landscape. It is widely speculated that Xi Jinping intends to continue ruling. He may seek to consolidate power further before the 2027 CCP 21st National Congress and select a successor from the younger generation, choosing from provincial and ministerial officials. However, as time passes, this window is rapidly closing. Most members of the Politburo Standing Committee are already over 60 years old, with almost none capable of naturally transitioning into the next generation of leadership. This is the biggest risk of Xi Jinping's rule. He can purge everyone, but he cannot purge time. Power ages with continuity, and the vacancy in the succession mechanism is becoming an invisible bomb within the CCP system. Adding to this, the fierce internal struggles within the CCP make it uncertain whether Xi Jinping can even choose the successor he wants. If he doesn't designate a successor, and if the opposing faction gains the upper hand, his fate could be dire. On the other hand, if a successor is designated, that person is likely to take away the immense power Xi once held. Those he has purged will turn against him, making his position even more precarious. No matter which path he chooses, it seems like a deadlock. The only way out, it seems, is for the CCP to disband, and with it, the issue of succession would naturally disappear.